As you begin your study of Algebra 2, there are a few things with solving equations that you want to remember from Algebra 1. One of them is how to rewrite a formula. So if you look at these three formulas, I call them a formula because they have two variables in it. Now the first one is just has the variables x and y, and those don't normally stand for anything in particular. But if you look over to the one on the right, we see capital A, which usually stands for area, and then B sub 1, B sub 2 stands for base 1 and base 2, and then H typically will stand for the height. You might recognize this as the formula for the area of a trapezoid. So sometimes you want to take an equation that has two or more variables and solve for an indicated variable. So in this first one, we're going to solve for x. We simply undo the math that's happening to x. Notice that you have a 10 that's being subtracted, but also a 1/2 that's multiplying. So let's start with that, and we can just multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of that, and we do that on both sides. Then we'll just rewrite. And we'll get 2y equals x minus 10. Now the last thing is we need to get rid of that minus 10, so we'll add it to both sides. And then I'm going to put the variable that I'm solving for first. So x will equal 2y plus 10. Notice we don't have a number quantity that we have found. We have simply rewritten that equation in terms of the other variable x. Now let's do that for the formula of the area of a trapezoid, and we're going to rewrite it, solve for base 2. So the first thing is we need to undo the math. So we'll start with the 1/2, and we can multiply by the reciprocal. So we'll rewrite that as 2a equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Now let's undo the height. It's being multiplied, so we'll divide both sides. So we'll get 2 times the area divided by the height equals base 1 plus base 2. We can drop the parentheses from around that base 1 plus base 2. Now the last thing is we're going to subtract base 1 because we're just undoing the math that's happening to base 2. And then we'll rewrite this formula in terms of base 2. So base 2 equals 2 times the area divided by the height minus base 1. Now the last formula is a very familiar one. It's Fahrenheit in terms of Celsius. We're going to rewrite it so we can see Celsius in terms of Fahrenheit. So we're going to undo that math, and we'll start by subtracting 32 from both sides. So we get Fahrenheit minus 32 equals 9/5 times Celsius. To get rid of that fraction, we'll multiply by the reciprocal. We have to multiply everything on the left side of the equation by the reciprocal. So our final answer in terms of Celsius is Celsius equals 5/9 times the quantity Fahrenheit minus 32. So when you are rewriting equations or formulas for an indicated variable, you simply undo the math in the correct order of that indicated variable.